This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. Those dastardly script writers are at it again. Last year's winless team is #1 in the standings, and last year's champs are currently in the bin.
Let them out!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hollywood, as well as VCT Americas, because it's Super Week. Yes. I wish I had a horn or something like that.
It's been Super Week for the last 3 days. You just got here.
Has it been?
Yeah. You missed. We were playing all weekend.
Wait, there was work?
Yeah.
Yo, that's crazy, son. That's wild stuff. Well, I guess, I'm Golden Boy, but I'll be fired by the end of the day here. Joined here at the desk, as always, though, we got Mimi, we have Ender, and we also have Athena joining us in the hood today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about today. Today's going to be a fun set of games to watch.
Yeah, I will concur. I concur. What is it? Oh, my goodness.
I concur.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a really fancy word, but then I completely
I've never heard someone take so long to say they agree.
Indubitably. That was the word I was looking for.
Indubitably.
Santissimo. In any case, so let's go ahead and talk about what happened on this stage yesterday, because we have the LATAM region who showed up and delivered a big old elbow drop from the top rope on North America. And, guys, Crew, Evil Geniuses, I think Crew's right now, they're just vibing. They're feeling themselves. This is exactly what you want to see from this team at this point in the stage.
100%. They're riding that momentum, and they had so many crazy rounds up against EEG where they were finding themselves in a numbers deficit, but all of a sudden someone steps up big, especially King on this map of Sunset. That was, of course, in the second series, but he was
King,
insane.
famous Crew player.
Yeah, no, I was like, that's not a Crew guy on my screen. I'm talking about him anyways.
This game was also insane, because we thought this was going to be a banger, a super close match, and NRG got stomped. That Sunset game in particular was an absolute masterclass from Leviathan in the different looks they had on their defensive side, bringing out a new comp and looking like a completely different squad than their week 1 showing.
Yeah, it looked insane, and it completely messed with my perspective of what the top teams are here in VCT, because I am so confused right now. Like, I feel like I expected NRG to just have some sort of flawless showing. For me, coming into this, I thought they were going to be the #1 team. Honestly, I thought they were going to beat over Sentinels and be that #1 team, and now I'm just like, oops.
I'm on the drive back home, and I'm looking at the results, and I was like, oh, that's uncomfortable, like the whole time. So
being driven back home.
I was being driven back home. That is actually, I'm glad you noted that, because I don't have a driver's license. Any case, thanks,
more
Mimi.
so that you weren't watching the game.
Texting. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
That too. Yeah, you're right. Good safety first here. All right, folks. So that go ahead and brings us over to our Alpha and Omega standings. Look at that. You get a lesson here. You don't get some funnies. You get some education.
We're not like Dare in that sense.
All right. Well, look, folks. Crew's #1. Holy crap.
That's crazy.
I love our third place team over an Omega 0-2 at the moment.
Yeah.
I love our third place team over an Alpha, Sentinels.
And the thing is that, keep in mind that these teams, in order for them to make it to playoffs, they got to be able to get those 2 wins. And right now, we're about midway through this bad boy. I see 2 teams that are still struggling to be able to pick up that dub.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, too, that you only have 1 team in Omega that is positive on map differential as well. Like, what is going on in that poor group?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I honestly will have to, of course, keep an eye on it as it continues to develop. But let's go ahead, though, and talk about today. Because, as we know, this isn't just some regular old Monday where we do 1 game and have a quick day of work and then I can go home and watch Monday Night Raw in peace. No! Instead, we have 2 games going on today here. We got G2 versus Furia. We have Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. And those, look, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Game 1 could very well go either direction at this point. I have no idea where the chips will land there, but I am stoked for that C900 Thieves game, because I really want to see, Mimi, where these teams are going to be measuring up against one another as we get further and further into the stage.
Yeah, C900 Thieves is another game that I think is really going to start the pecking order towards the top of our teams here in Americas, right? Cloud9 3-0 thus far off that huge upset against Loud, now in their second match of Super Week, up against 100 Thieves, who this is the only time they have to play this week. They looked great in their last match. Those are 2 teams looking hot.
Yeah, and I think both of them have a big stylistic mismatch as well, right? Ooh, okay. 100 Thieves are so strong when they get to run their set execs, right? Their retakes, their execs into sight, where C9 are kind of a wild card team. Like, the way they unleash Oxy to play around the map will catch you off guard all the time.
Yeah, I feel like in general, C9 likes to force the other team to kind of play to their style because they kind of ruin any kind of game plan that you have going into it. I feel like for 100 Thieves, if they're able to adapt and kind of keep things low down and locked down, it's going to be like, maybe they can come out on top, but I'm just worried that 100 Thieves is just going to drop the ball in the fact that C9 is just like running through smokes, holding W. And just
you have to expect every single smoke or corner to have some kind of aggression behind it from C9.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more there. Of course, 100 Thieves are going to be looking to gain some momentum, massive momentum, after that big win that they had last week. But today, it's going to be a particularly tough challenge because earlier on, we spoke with Cryo about what they're up against. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Me and Oxy differ that I kind of flex the smokes on a few maps where he's mostly duelist on every map to our knowledge. I think it's it just works with their roster, how the roles work, and probably just as his play style, it kind of fits him more. So.
We see pros pull off amazing things on this stage every single week, and it's time to show you how'd they do that. How did they do that? Wow, we got the whole thing and everything. Look, we got Mimi and Athena here ready to help in just a second. But first, I want to show you this round where C9 have a really solid Rubble re-clear in their match versus Loud. And the first thing to pay attention to is how little information they actually show over towards this site. Watch the center of your screen right now. There's a Mosh that's sent over here. That's literally the only piece of utility they show on this side of the map. So all Loud know is that Gecko is over on this side. At the same time, there's a one-way smoke put over towards Mound, which threatens that, hey, they could be multiple players playing behind this early on in that. And the rest of the teammates over here actually stay hidden behind the utility and this Viper wall that Loud have thrown themselves. At the same time, Vanity repositions back towards Tree Door so that he can get ready to slam this Paranoia and activate the trap. During all this time, Loud have stepped up into this space. They've gotten real close to this door, and by spamming here, they show their presence on this side. That's what starts this play. First thing that comes through is a smoke from Vanity. Over here towards Root, that smoke is meant to isolate this player, so that player cannot enter the fight without swinging into an unfavorable angle, and then he gets ready to Paranoia all of these players. And that is going to unleash Oxy. So the Paranoia comes through, everyone's blinded, Oxy's running up, getting kills, popping the showstopper up over the top of Revel. It is gorgeous, but wait, there's more. Another player got involved in this. There is a Viper Molly sent out back Rubble here, and that's from a dude, Rooney, all the way on the other side of the map. So they have 4 players effectively influencing this fight on this side.
How'd they do that?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because we've got another clip here from Rooney's POV. So he starts the round outside here towards Mount, getting ready on this play, just throwing his orb, and as soon as presence is made over towards that A site, he comes over here and gets ready to throw this Viper lineup. And he does that in less than a second, almost. It comes out real quickly so that can pop and the play on the other side can be executed at the same time.
It's really lovely stuff. And if you want to do something like this in your rank game, I can show you the Viper setup. We're starting off this round, if we can go into the game here, with the normal setup you're going to have when you're defending on Lotus. Your wall blocking off towards A and B. That's how these players manage to inch up, like you were talking about. And then, of course, the orb right here. To throw this Molly, once your teammates call for it, you're going to run over. I have a slightly different variation that I found more consistent, where you start by lining up against this line right here. You stay standing, and then you're going to note this little discoloration in the wall.
And quickly, you can't see it on this right now, but if you line it up, you're actually using the UI that's going to pop up the little left-click logo, the tiny little hat on top of that above your snakebite. That's what you're going to use to pop this.
Yep, and once you have that lined up, you're going to just do a simple jump and left-click, and that'll go all the way across the map. And as we follow that down, this is going to completely block up. Well, actually, it's going to hit the ceiling. Let me show you what it's really going to be like. This is why you practice your lineup.
Mimi, you missed it again. I'm coming in there.
Okay, it's hitting this time, and here it comes. For real, though, this time, it's going to stop that player who's over towards the revolving door from running back and joining their teammates, and basically gives you that free kill off the Paranoia.
And the difference between this and Rooney's, with a little more time to set it up, is Rooney's had a little bit of a gap there that players could run through. This one means that you're guaranteed being hit by the vulnerability, and we timed it. It takes 5 seconds, so call your teammates in when you toss that, 5 seconds to pop that paranoia.
Yeah, and the worst part about this, Molly, is when you do want to fall back. So if you look at my screen, if I'm at switch and I get paranoid, I want to fall back here and try to get under any sort of cover. But if this Molly is here, I'm going to be getting vulnerable. I'm going to be taking damage. I cannot hide behind Rebel because guess what? There's nades coming too. And any more falling back, I will be exposed to the 2 players that are pushing up.
Yeah, one other thing that I think if you're talking with your Raze in comms, get that paint shell to go land back Rebel too, and that way you can combo the vulnerability aspect
and it's
with the
especially
paint
strong
shell.
if you have that ultimate as well, that showstopper, as they had it in the clip. Just so much util to overwhelm. You just got to make sure you get that timing right once they pop that door going for a play like this.
Absolutely. C9 were able to use that to get a pretty solid round up there against Loud, but to set up plays like that, you need good comms with your teammates. Here's how G2 and 100 Thieves do it.
The only time they can really push back side is when they have your ult. We saw that get punished in the last round because everyone in main gets stalled.
I can knife for you guys.
Wait, 3, 2, 1. Careful TP.
Alright, I'm not. Yeah.
No, on left side hookah. It's a hookah trap.
Okay. Chill. I'm gonna knife it. I'm gonna knife it.
Let's 3-2 A split.
Knifing hookah now.
I'm gonna come back. I'll go shower.
Can we peek a shower? Let's peek
Bring
it. 3,
Fade,
2,
Viper,
1.
and Brim, short A. This is Shook Utah. Be ready for it.
Hey, come in.
You're good.
Just come in. Just come in.
Jump off
me,
Already, yeah.
Yeah, care long.
He jumps off showers.
Okay, I'm gonna stay hookah, bro.
Yeah, go stay hookah. Go stay hookah
when they come out.
Go stay hookah. I'm gonna jump spot long, okay?
I have your shower, Peter.
Nothing holding you.
Yep.
I'll look.
Brim you. He's full Viper.
We're in shower.
We can add Fade ult here.
Yeah, ready?
I'll smoke deep.
Okay. Let's peek. Peek in.
Top truck.
I'm ulting.
I'm ulting.
Flashing out shower.
Molly short.
Top truck dead. Short. I'm holding down. I'm holding short. Or you all? You all?
Yo, I'm wrapping this guy. Teasing him. That you.
Fighting you.
Nice. I'm looking heaven.
Echo spawn. Holding.
Blind.
One triple. I think you think triple.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's play to ruin their money if we get you all.
Cal has to go out.
Can be heaven. I'm looking
I'm on
shower.
you, Jake.
Yeah.
I'm mollied. I can't. Out, right side.
Right side, back side.
Still.
Okay.
I'm gonna walk in your ult.
I'm giving shower. I'm playing post plant now.
They're front side already.
They're gonna put wingman on bomb.
Wingman's on.
Can we get him off? You guys have to get him off.
I'm fighting through 3, 2, 1.
Oh, no,
Okay.
backside.
Nice.
Nice, guys.
Go,
Let's
one by
go.
one.
Round by round.
G2 are trying alternative strategies out here. They want a heavy open over towards B long.
Get ready to fight short with us, Matt.
Watch out.
I'm walling up, Matt.
I walled up for sure.
Not on it.
Be ready to work for me.
Yeah, I will.
When they
Be
come up,
ready
I
to do
ult.
this crunch.
Wait, they're pressuring us A, guys.
Yeah.
We can't crunch right now.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna ult.
If they come out hookah, I warp them.
Can you eye shower or short?
I'm flying when they come up. No. I'm ulting now.
I wall up.
Not up.
This way.
I'm spotting.
One fell back. One fell back though.
Wait, just wait. No, guys.
Going heaven. I'm going heaven.
That Grim here, KO.
Stay with me.
Yeah?
Warp down.
I'll flash.
Coming to you. Brim ult this. Coming out. Nice. Bombed out.
I'm holding.
Bombed out. Kill it. Oh, wait. What is Nathan doing? Never mind. Stan, you're the go. Nice.
And there you have it. You got a little bit of knowledge, and you also got to see how the pros try and implement these strategies.
Crazed Asuna.
Yeah, that's true.
Close round.
See, I feel like I'm missing Boostio's open mic from the end there when he's up out of his chair and screaming.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
Interesting.
Wonder what he said.
That's the real open mic. Maybe we should do like a bad lip reading segment and just like.
I've wanted to do this for so long. You have no idea.
I really want to.
If you listen though to Asuna's comms, 100 Thieves puts out a lot of videos of it. He's so intense all the time. It's really fun to listen to, like how like aggressive all the comms are in this team. It's got to be crazy to like have to comprehend all that information so quickly and turn it around in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I definitely was taken aback by it because I only had a few conversations with him, so I just didn't expect it to be
He's
so.
much more quiet in real life.
Yeah, he really is. All right, well, folks, let's go ahead though and center ourselves and get ready for today's first matchup. We're going to be talking about G2 first, and now after kickoff, they brought in Icy to help them with a few things, but most notably, they needed some firepower. They needed some assistance in the comms. They needed a few things to kind of like get the troops all rallied together here, just like the way they were going into Ascension. And Mimi, it feels like G2 still haven't quite found that rhythm yet.
No, they've been struggling thus far. This loss against 100 Thieves was really a strong match for 100 Thieves where they came out and dominated. G2 still yet to have a map where Icy is going positive on this team. He switched over to the duelist role, which is something that he wasn't always playing before and that we were a little surprised by when he came into this roster. And honestly, this entire game felt like they were kind of playing from behind. 100 Thieves had some great calling, especially on their attacking sides. And G2, a lot of the time, it seemed like they were playing pretty scared, not going for a lot of these proactive re-clear plays. And when they were, Icy wasn't really able to follow up off a lot of those ideas.
Yeah, it feels like they were trying consistently to set up Icy for some sort of success, but it never really happened. They didn't really get as further along as they wanted to. A lot of the times when I do see G2 trying to play around Icy is they have this kind of hive mindset around him where they're following him around, trying to set him up for good plays. But then when he is on someone like that Yoru or someone on that, other character that can TP and make plays, he likes to take showers alone. He likes to take space alone. So I feel like it's kind of a mix between, I feel like I've seen him kind of almost hit that standard of being able to be a duelist that makes their own plays. But at the same time, I just haven't seen it be that effective. And
I see it as a big issue, especially on Bind, sort of the map theory and the comp that they're running into that. Because, yeah, on the Yoru, you can sort of flash yourself in and take fights. But the fact is, they're missing a real dive agent that can take backside control. And you saw it in the game against 100 Thieves. Like, Icy could have a couple of decent rounds here, but on their attacking side, him actually getting into the site, they had no actual threat to push further than just in front of Truck, and they just got completely dominated on that front.
And I think you can compare that to some of our strongest teams in the league right now. Like Cloud9 in particular is constantly investing their duelists onto that dive agent. I think they have a lot of the same ideas, right? In the way that they're setting them up, they're trying at least to do a lot of these re-clear rounds where they're pushing their raise player back into place. But I think the difference is that, first of all, in those situations where it's just coming down to aim duels, it's not being won as consistently. And secondly, when they are going for these kind of proactive ideas, it's just like one idea. They're never pushing through. They're never actually being kind of ahead of the pace and taking their opponent by surprise.
Yeah, and that's a rough thing for them to be, and especially a team that, coming out of their Ascension run, I think there was so much hype for this squad. And there still is, but it's simmering down a little bit more as of late, and they certainly need to find that rejuvenation, and maybe this could be the game for them to do it.
Yeah, but this is also not the team that won Ascension anymore, right? They've got some of the pieces, but that is no longer the identity of this team. This is a team that is now trying to swap things around, bring in a guy like Icy, and he was supposed to, we heard he's doing fantastic in scrims. He's supposed to be dropping 40 bombs and whatnot, and we're not seeing that just yet. So to me, I have lost the luster of that Ascension win, and now just need to see results from the new hire.
Yeah, I mean, earlier we heard Josh RT literally just talk about how he thinks positioning is not that good, how he thinks the protocols weren't that good. So it's just like, at some point you see this team and you know that there is a deeper issue that they need to really figure out and fix their fundamentals. And it feels like we've talked about G2 being the power of friendship team and the brotherhood team, and they really need to emulate that in a server.
I also think it's definitely possible that when you have a team that plays together for so long, right, like a core of 4 or 5 players, that you just take for granted a lot of those fundamentals. So you don't have to have the conversations about it, right? You have understood map theory on all the maps you play, so you don't have to talk about that. So when I hear things like Josh saying some of that, now I'm wondering, hey, can we have those hard conversations? Can we make those adjustments and actually bring the new players into the fold?
Yeah, that's exactly the thing that I'm kind of fixating on. I think they need to have that moment. Honestly, we can compare it to Leviathan week 1 versus the end of that. When we were talking to one of their players, Stex, the other night, he was talking about how, hey, their focus has been kind of stepping back from scrims and focusing a lot more on the theory, on having conversations about what's going wrong, what's going right, of constantly VOD reviewing. Those hard conversations are what you have to turn around what really is a new team here. This isn't the Guard.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. What you can add?
I was just going to say, I feel like a big part of it too is when you do add that new role and that new player into a roster, it's really hard to kind of just be like, okay, this is what we normally do. You can kind of just fit in. And I feel like that is kind of coming across right now, where Icy is trying to fit into this mold of what G2 has built, where it has been so effective, so structurally sound. Everyone knows what each other's thinking, to now they're trying to kind of put down Icy, but it's just not going to happen. To a certain point, you need to kind of develop a new play style for this player to thrive in.
Yeah, there have been a lot of changes for this G2 lineup, but thankfully we have Elizabeth standing by with Josh RT to talk about just that. Elizabeth, what you got?
Hi, Josh. I talked to you for a little bit. So Very simple question. Obviously, Icy has a couple games under his belt with G2. How would you say, as his coach, that he is performing with the team?
I think he's still being integrated into the team, so that always takes some time. But I'm pretty hopeful that he'll show his true form this week.
Not to be rude or disrespectful, but time is running out, Josh. So is today the day that Icy will, the Icy we've seen and known in qualifiers, show himself?
Yeah, I mean, we've practiced really hard this week to make sure he's in form. I think this is his time to shine.
I look forward to it. Best of luck.
They're hopeful heading into this matchup, and they certainly do have at least a few bright spots to lean on. One of them in particular was Trent, who, he's always been kind of a reliable hand for this team, and it's no shocker here, Mimi, that going into this matchup, you're going to be really leaning on him here to bring you those numbers.
Yeah, he's a rock for this team. Even in a tough match against 100 Thieves, I think he stepped up and performed in a lot of the ways we expect from this guy. Winning a lot of pivotal clutches. I think when they're setting Icy up for these plays, even if they're not all working out, it is Trent the guy to do so. And even when that initial idea fails, he is still good to find that trade, to sometimes take over and win some of these rounds with a multi-kill, with a clutch like we're watching here.
I just feel like Trent is one of those players that ever since he sort of broke onto the stage, he is a guy that just has incredible game sense. And even in a very chaotic round where he's down in numbers and there's players coming in from multiple angles, you don't have a lot of information on the map, he is the guy that is able to be aware of his surroundings and just anticipate where those players are going to be coming from. And that's why he looks so good in those clips. It's because he's almost he's aware, he's prescient, he's Paul Atreides-ing that every single round.
And I think he's also so I don't know how to follow that.
What were you going to say, Mimi?
I have nothing to add to that.
That's fair. All right, well, go ahead and call it there, and we'll move on over to their opponents for today. We got Furia. Now, this is a team that has been on the struggle bus, population 5. It's been very difficult. And, their last match against NRG, only 3 of the rounds that they were able to muster up were gun rounds in Athena. At some point, we have to ask, what the heck is going on with Furia?
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me to come on the desk and analyze that game specifically, I would be like, I have no clue what to talk about because it genuinely just felt like a demolish. It felt like Furia didn't really have a set plan going into it, or they did. And once they realized that it wasn't working, they didn't know how to adapt. NRG just had that little bit over them. Everything was kind of like not really going their way. They tried countering by having the same picks and trying to understand how NRG was playing, and it just did not work out.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to bring out some new stuff, pulling out like a double duelist, your Raze comp, which it was such a stomp. We didn't even, I feel like, really get to see what the full idea they were trying to implement with that was. This is a team now who is winless thus far, who has been getting stomped in the majority of their games they're playing. And honestly, when you watch these players' faces in the replays,
dejected.
That's exactly the word for it. It doesn't feel like the energy is there, the vibe is there, the feeling that like, hey, we can win this match. But I think G2 is a much more winnable game for them. It's a G2 that has been looking weak, that is also kind of downtrodden right now. If they could come out, get a strong start, feel that energy again, they do have some fantastic players on this team that I think could pull off an upset here.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the thing about Furia too is when you do kind of have that game where you're like being told to just sit down and like focus on your fundamentals, I feel like at a certain point they have probably fixed a lot of the issues that we saw even on their executes on that Breeze side. They didn't have enough layers that once the first set of util, once the first set of entries were shut down, they could not get into the site. Like they had no
how do you
power.
pivot?
Exactly.
How do you like come up with those like last second plans when things don't go your way the first time around? You always got to have a plan A, plan B, plan C. So well spoken there, but for more on Furia, though, let's actually send it over to Elizabeth, who's got Khalil standing by with his thoughts.
Khalil, can I have a quick word with you? Thank you. All right. So, how is Furia going to turn things around?
Como é que a Fúria vai virar esse jogo hoje?
E a gente não vai virar, a gente vai começar ganhando, que eu tenho certeza. A gente tá bem confiante para esse jogo e é isso.
Yeah, we're gonna start winning this today. We are very confident for it, and that's what we're bringing.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
You get one too.
Thank you.
Hey, they're going to need to carry that confidence with them when they walk onto the stage today. But one person who's never short of it is MW Zera. Now, he had a strong start in week 1, but since then, I mean, you know, wasn't really finding the success he wanted in week 2. You can see in the results right there. And you know, this is a guy you're always going to lean on, but I also feel like that's part of the issue as well, is that he's always being leaned on.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, you look at the stats falling off, they got smoked, right? By energy. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one, but I will say that there's a lot of maps where he does look strong, especially his performance on Icebox. The Omen was something that I thought he was actually using very well, especially his play around mid. He was taking matters much more into his own hands, breaking some Killjoy setups. That certainly seemed like a very fitting look for him.
Yeah, I think he's a player who's very self-sufficient if you put him on the right agent. I think the Omen's a good example of that. When we see him on the Raze, you need a little bit more resources. But he's a guy who innately understands when to go for that proactive idea, when to push through, when to press the advantage. And he's just ridiculous mechanically. We've known this for a long time. But the issues are really, again, coming back to the fundamentals for this team. And if MW entries and dies, who's the next one up trading? What's the next layer of the round? And that's still where we're not seeing solutions for Furia.
I will say, though, in a matchup where I think a lot of the criticism has been these teams like losing sight in the moment, the fundamentals, those types of things, that's where you need players, right? We talked about Trent, now we have MW Zera, those guys that are able to find those windows of opportunity and expose them on the other side. And that's really why I'm focused on these players in this matchup, because they're the ones that are going to be able to seize those opportunities.
Well, you know what, though? Another thing to bear in mind is not just the match at hand, it's also what is to come. I mean, I don't want to, you know, be a negative Nancy over here.
But it's time to be a negative Nancy.
It is time to be Nancy. And Nancy says that doesn't look good. That's going to be a real rough schedule for them going from this G2 game into C9 and then into Sentinels. And that is just for them to get the 2 wins that would push them to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, making playoffs for this team is incredibly unlikely at this point. They're playing in the tough group where you're in Omega, you're playing some of our best teams over in Alpha, back to back. If they lose today, I think there's no chance that they're making playoff. You would have to beat Sentinels and Cloud9. Both of those are tough asks, but even
Lev could beat both of those teams.
Even if you're not making playoffs, I still think the win today is so important to rebuild confidence, to show they can get a win on the board, to kind of renew faith for the players in this team.
Yeah, I mean, in that interview that we just saw, I like the confidence kind of emulating from it. I like the only thing that was said was just like, yeah, we're going to win today. So I really hope that they pull that through, because I genuinely think that this will be a confidence game. I think both these teams are so close in terms of firepower that I feel like if Furia were just confident enough to kind of push the boundaries of what G2's protocols just kind of structurally have, then they could probably come out on top.
And Khalil is the guy who I want to see confident. He was so good at the beginning of last year. We've seen the moments from him, but it's been a while since they've hit that form.
We know it's there. That's what's important. Maybe we'll see it today on stage, but our coaches are standing by for the map selection. Let's go ahead and take a listen in.
Alright, guys, welcome. As you know, teams were decided via coin flip. Furia is going to be Team A, G2 is going to be Team B. Furia, you're going to have first map ban.
We ban Split.
Furia ban Split. G2, what would you like to ban?
We'll ban Sunset.
G2 ban Sunset. Furia, what map would you like?
Pick Lotus.
Furia, pick Lotus. G2, what side would you like?
Pick Attack.
G2, select Attack, and you have 1 map pick.
We'll pick Icebox.
G2, select the Icebox, and what side would you like?
Attack.
Furia, select Attack, and you have 1 map ban.
Ban Ascent.
Furia, ban Ascent, and what would you like to ban?
We'll ban Bind.
G2 ban Bind. Decider map will be Breeze, and Furia, you will have side select.
Attack.
Furia, select Attack. All right, boys, best of luck today.
Okay, so we see the map selection. I believe we start with Lotus, and then we move over
Lotus
to
and some Icebox.
Some Icebox. Any thoughts on the maps?
This is a real possibility of a Furia 2-0. We were talking about the Icebox a little bit. It's one of the maps where I've had more
Furia
faith in
getting
Furia.
2-0'd or Furia 2-0'ing? Winning 2-0.
I think it's pretty unlikely still, but if they come out swinging, I think these are actually good maps to take things home. Going back to that point around Icebox, I like the Omen play. I like the ideas. They're a really disruptive team on that map, which I think could get advantage of G2.
Genuinely, like, coming into this week, I without even thinking about it, my prediction early on was like, oh, G2 is going to be able to beat Furia, right? Furia haven't been looking strong, but the more and more I thought about it, the less sure I was, right? Because usually it's in matchups like this where I honestly like default a little bit more to like, okay, star player, duelist, like who's going to be able to like really take control when people don't have the strongest protocols to be able to shut you down. And that's where I think Icy has to be able to step up. If G2 are going to win today, we have to see a new and reformed Icy like Josh RT was trying to sell us today.
Yes, again, we're yet to see a positive map from Icy in VCT Americas, but the talk of the town was this guy. He was playing great in challengers. He's been demolishing in scrims, allegedly. This is the match where he needs to show us that. Just make sure no one's lawyers are coming through.
Scrims.
So real quick, we got only a couple seconds left. So you're saying you are feeling good for Furia here?
I really like their icebox, honestly. I'm going Furia.
I don't think they're going to win, but I think there's more of a chance than people give credit.
Okay, so you think it'll be a 2-0 G2 then?
This game is so
I don't think any of us are confident, GB.
I'm so unconfident. I need one of these teams to be confident.
I'm confident. It's 2-1 for G2. G2 is going to win 2-1, but it's going to be close.
Confident 2-1 that they're going to flip Breeze, and Icy's going to play Jet on Breeze, and they're going to win.
Yo, G2 had time to talk about it. They're good.
All right, well, you hear the desk here. They're conflicted with their emotions. But, folks, it's Super Week, so let's get this show started, shall we?
Yes.
Sort of recover themselves and maybe into a threat. What is he doing?
O Marvin vai dando a volta, viu ele, o Conan lá de trás. Salva o Gamok, Conan de novo.
We play against Furia for our first game of Super Week, and I think they're a pretty good team. We scrim them sometimes, so I kind of understand like what their strengths and weaknesses are. And when they're feeling good as a team, like they can be deadly.
Apenas o Manito contra dois jogadores.
A G2 é um time muito bom. Tem jogadores que têm muita mira lá, são jogadores muito talentosos. Eu acho que a gente já treina bastante contra eles, a gente sabe um pouco do jeito que eles jogam, dá pra se preparar bem contra eles. O jogador perigoso deles é o Leaf, é um jogador muito agressivo, ele tem muita mira.
Juggernaut breaks it right away, cleans down the 14 in around 4 Leaf.
É um jogador que a gente tem que se preocupar um pouco, porque se ele entrar no jogo ele pode acabar carregando.
I think it just comes down to their minor details, and NZR was leading it, who's like the newest guy on the team. So it seems like he's trying to bring in that structure into Furia. So if they can figure out like a couple things, they'll be probably really solid. I would say it's kind of similar to us. Should be a banger of a match.
Riot Games Arena, deem as boas-vindas ao primeiro time do dia, Furia! Thank you.
And it's time to bring out their opponents. Make some noise for G2!
Can't be called a newcomer. We've been up for several summers, seeking how to step in commerce. If you with us, buy the bundle. Say you should buy the bundle. Barely time to buy the bundle. For this ton of errors rumble. Cause you know we titans in this game, ain't no contest. If we take it to the game, turn a wild west. We ain't faking what I claim, it's a wild threat. No rook, we been a vet. Now check the mindset, by the name of G2. How to take over the world, how we come through. You just follow in the herd, we don't have to. Better forget about what you heard, probably ain't true. This ain't go-to, cause you know it's G2. How to take over the world, how we come.
In this competition for Furia, they want that first win. Will it come against G2? That is going to be the question on all of our minds here as you see VALORANT and the rest of the team on the other side of the stage getting prepped and ready to go. Something that caught my interest when we were getting ready for the package that led into the game. VALORANT was saying that they have scrimmed G2 a few times, Furia a few times, and that he feels like he has a read on how to shut them down. But I feel like everyone's kind of said that to an extent.
Sure.
This could be an opportunity.
You always have to believe that going in, right? You have to believe in your game plan. You have to commit. That's true of any team.
No, I sometimes just forget it. Don't believe in your game plan. Throw it out the window and let's see if something changes.
Yeah, I guess.
But then your game plan is throwing out the window, and you believe in that.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's layers.
Wait, that's
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that. So.
Yo, someone tell G2 about that.
Get in the comms, quick. Let them know. All right, well, the players are getting ready to go here, Mimi.
This is a really important game.
Huge game.
It has been a tough start to this season. I think this should be the game that everyone is looking at and like,
huge game for both teams.
They should win this one. They should roll this one. And on paper, yes, I think that is true to an extent. But I don't think they can go in with the mentality that, hey, it's just Furia. They need to treat this team seriously, and I think they need to be lighthearted, right? They need to believe in themselves. They need to be chill. They need to make Icy comfortable on that stage.
Yeah, 100%. This match is going to be a mentality game from the very start.
Yeah.
I am happy to see G2 walk out with smiles on their faces because if they sit there and say, hey, we really need to win this game, they're going to start feeling the pressure in game. And they cannot succumb to that. They have to push past that and just think about it as, hey, this is just another scrim. You know, maybe Icy can start owning because it was scrims that he was owning in. Maybe he can go crazy. But yeah, I think mental game is the name of this match.
Both teams cannot feel like they are playing to not lose.
Yeah,
and that's
100%.
At times it's very easy to get into that mindset when you're in a situation like this, right? G2 came to a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. They're down. Furia, they're down.
Yeah.
They cannot be in that position. But let's see what we get with the agent select.
I think both these teams have been running just about the same meta comps, all things considered. Do you think continuing to look into that mental game a bit, because we are starting on Lotus, the most lopsided map in terms of side selection? If you're coming in here on defense early, you better be prepared to turn that ship around quickly in the second half.
I'm excited to watch another game of MW on Raze. We talk a lot about just the duelists. And in games like this where it can be a little bit back and forth, when there is a real chance for an upset, that's even more important. Icy in this matchup needs to come out and be great. Or MW is the type of player that'll rip through a team.
Yeah, he could very well just, run roughshot all over this G2 lineup if they're not careful here. And this is going to be a tough one without a doubt. We've constantly said that because we do want to stress, like, this is it for G2. They lose here, no shot, right? Like, you're looking at
either of these teams.
Either of these teams.
Stop coping. Don't you dare start coping on me now.
Don't you dare bring that cope out here, Athena, okay? We ain't ready for that. It's too early. Actually, what time is it? It's 2 o'clock.
So I can bring the...
So you can bring the cope. Okay, go ahead. Open up. It's past the afternoon.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch Trent on Fade because I think Trent has a voice for rotations, for that info gathering towards this team. I think it's going to be a really, really big thing. And again, to note, he was one of the players walking on stage with a smile on their face. So if they do have that vibe going into it, I feel like this is going to be G2's game to run away with. I don't know. Lotus.
Okay.
I got a feeling
you did say 2-1. You said 2-1. Run away doesn't imply 2-1, Athena.
Yeah, it implies fleeing and getting 0-2.
Also, I can't help it. I did put 2 and 2. Lisa Nagaib, Trent, hair, it all fits.
Yeah,
it's great.
Trent Atreides, they call him.
What?
Trent Atreides, they call him.
Everyone with hair is the same guy, according to G2.
I mean, that's kind of true.
When you're follically challenged like me, guys, it's just the way life rolls. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this game, massive matchup. We'll see, though, how the chips fall as G2 Esports and Furia match up against one another here in a do-or-die contest between both of these squads. We're starting things off on Icebox, and things could very well go... Oh, sorry, Lotus. Oh, good heaven. This is just, it's too early.
You hear me start the game already?
Yeah, there it is. All right, folks. Well, we are ready to go. I got the cue to shut up. So let's go ahead and send it over to your casters. I know they're British, but guys, don't hold it against them. It's Brennan's Sideshow.
You say that.
I mean, listen, it's perfectly fine, GB. Very based opinion. I also hate the British. So you're okay there. You're in good company.
Why do you think we work for Americans?
Exactly. Let's get started then. Lotus, map 1, staging rounds here for G2 and Furia. Yeah. And God almighty was the Death trying their hardest to get people to care a little bit about this match. But it is right. They are correct. It's a must-win for both of these teams here in the middle of this Super Week. Furia versus G2. And Furia, they have been stumbling. They have been struggling to find that first hurdle, that first win. We know how difficult that can be for some teams. We saw Crew kind of go through the same thing last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Furia are in dire straits, but the same could be said about G2. Both of these squads will be hoping that this can spark a resurgence in their season and get them back on track to make something happen. But honestly, the schedule looks brutal. We've got to see not just a win here, but one of these teams at least looking significantly better than what they've showcased so far.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of footsteps rumbling all the way towards Valorant with the Prowler. Catching these two players. Gordon to the corner. Unfortunate with the nade, actually. Rebounds back into the doorway.
Meanwhile, the whole of B has been taken. Somehow, Leaf survives, doesn't get punished, and G2 have taken B.
So with the post plant down, still with a player disadvantage. We'll see how this one gets played. But double snake bites for Jonah P. He's going to be looking to most likely play those lineups from afar. Leave. Tapping away, eventually getting the job done there with the classic jump spot. Nicely done. Oh, not with the nade though. We won't talk about it. We won't mention it. We definitely won't clip it. I'm sure nobody will. But Furia are cleaning up these stragglers.
Still, no clue from Khalil. Setting up for the paranoia. Didn't think anyone would be in that post plant positioning.
It's getting muddy. And we're not talking ethically sourced. This has got E. coli in the pond water already. Haunt onto 2, sticking to the fuse. MW's got this one fully locked up. Furia with their pistol round. Earned and gained.
I mean, that is a scrappy pistol.
It's scrappy, man. It's scrappy.
We see a missed nade at the beginning, allowing Leaf to survive.
Oh, the mud match that was promised.
We've got a missed Nana Swarm as well. And Leaf ends up getting swarmed. Multiple people getting shot in the back from Furia, just not anticipating the positioning of these G2 players. And yet still, Furia come out on top on the pistol round. I think this game really is going to be brutish in some regards.
Oh yeah, I'm taking the jacket off.
There's going to be enough mistakes from both teams, you would imagine, for individuals to come alive and make the difference.
Maybe shine. Look at it. I mean, just a level of unawareness there from MW. Not expecting the Valen could be so fast onto that angle. But it is evened out with that kill offered. Leaf going down into B main. They want to look for a nice little fast pivot there with a paranoia to pave the way.
This is tough, though, because you don't know where Havoc is. Because he got the kill onto Leaf, he could be anywhere around B main. He could connect with the player that was pushed out of Mound. And it's become a very common protocol on defense for teams to take down control.
That was a kill as well. That's brutal.
It's become a very common protocol for teams to push out C and connect with that B player on the defense side. Conan's going round the world in order to achieve it, but all down to Jonah P with only a Bulldog.
Give it a Havoc. Ace available here. Yes, it's an eco, but why not?
And it builds up towards his ult.
Yeah, just throw bodies on it. But okay, they're playing it disciplined. They got the spike down. They realize it.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any holes here for Jonah P to exploit. And it is Conan that picks it up.
Yeah.
It's good to see Havoc off, you know, hitting the ground running, having some impact early on in the game. This is a player that's come up from that tier 2 level, as have a lot of the G2 squad. But Havoc has struggled, I think, to get his footing, get his bearings at tier 1. He's towards the bottom of all of the players in the league, just ranked by stats. And you can see it in his games. He just kind of sometimes gets a bit flustered. So getting him online early, get that confidence into the guy, and maybe he'll be bringing up big performances as Furia would have hoped to see from him.
But they brought him up. Healed. Yeah, they did brought him up. Similar template being followed by a couple of players, actually. I mean, he almost bar for bar, really. Here's that A rubble control. Damage exchanged here, but this will be a good chance here for Furia on their bonus. They get some form of conversion online here on the defensive side as well of Lotus, which we know to be, the weaker side of the map if you end up starting off here. Typically, they'll often say, maybe 4 or 5 rounds is a good half for some teams.
Leaf's going to get pressured here, pushed out by the Paranoia and Prowler combination, but Noxwell cannot overstep this. Meanwhile, if they go towards A, you take a look at what's going on over on NW0's point of view, he's pushed up close with the judge.
That is a nice paranoia re-clear though, so...
Those were cleared.
Yeah, good pause being taken in the round there by G2.
Yeah, I don't like that positioning from Nosway. I think he's just trying to get value out of lighter weaponry.
Okay. Chased all the way down.
He's got some pace on it.
It really does, yeah.
MW has backed off in the midst of all of this.
And that was the danger. He's holding close with that judge. But now holding a position in tree. Locked to the corner, close here. He's got a lot to worry about. But now they hit that judge. Decay damage. Was kicking in for about a moment. It is traded. A-site should be theirs. Put themselves into hit. Khalil might be going for a bit of a hero play as well. He is doubled up side by side with Havoc. Now time running short, but at least with that plan, it is into the pose. Swinging out wide. No way! Damage done to Trent. Still mops up the 2 kills.
How did Trent get that?
That's insanity.
Furia had the jump on him and somehow still able to spray down 2 with the Phantom. He might have just saved his squad.
Toxin screen down.
The health is low, but the players, there are many.
Yeah, and this post plan is pretty much, it should be unlosable, I was about to say here, but they've taken care of the first wave of things, which is Leaf. Dodging into the siege now, doubled up now. Trent taking first contact, now he was low, but nails it in the end, so 2 players surviving, keeping 2 rifles into the mix, overcoming that obstacle that was the bonus round.
Take a look at the replay here. This positioning, not a great one in my opinion from Nonsra. He'd already given away that he was playing close. It's those double kills from Trent, I should say, that really turned the round, I think. Here it is. Oh, the Furia players just end up lining up, Khalil and Havoc, on top of each other. With 2 players surviving, like you said, Brent, G2 have got a pretty decent buy heading into this, and with 1 orb, Trent gets Nightfall online. So this looks like they're going to try to take Mound. It's only Havoc there to try to hold them off, and Havoc is not going to be able to hold on against this, but he's in a really advanced position.
Really rough position, man. I mean, he's just willing to take that fight straight to them.
What is going on there?
Out wide, I mean, there's no escape inside. It's not even a bailing out from the rest of his team. They are just going to be running and rummaging all the way now. Off to this seaside, but plan will go down for Trent. That will give him his ult.
It's a great plant position too. This is the new kind of default meta plant spot. Steal it for your ranked games. You can spam this from Mound as well. So if G2 force out some of that retake utility, they still have options to fall back.
Now you're going to see the waves of this util emanating out for G2. Nightfall will be the first one to really push them back and away, and that is 4 connections. Higher and higher in pitch. It's a deafening blanket that's going to be laid out onto them. The paranoia also just sent flying just in case, and at this point, has to be given up by Furia. They realize it, they recognize it, so saving the rifles.
And Havoc, who was up to 5-0, I think, on the scoreboard, getting off to a hot start, getting some of those eco kills. I mean, he's just tossed that one away. There's no other way of putting it. It's not that he, took a risky idea and had some support, but failed the execution. He's just in a spot he should never be holding on his own. We see some teams put an alarm bot there or try to put a turret in that spot. Or sometimes you can have a duo play.
Yeah, just setting up like a crossfire, somebody at the box.
He's so far away from the cover here.
Engineer killed.
If G2 go for any kind of 3 players up to 5 player attack side default towards Mount, he is stuck. You can't afford to be losing your Killjoy that early. So, got to address that one.
Looks like a bit of a brawl occurring though, or about to. Now as the barriers drop, yeah, look at it. Util straight and over along with a nade. Icy looks to do some real damage! And they'll just take away the life of Khalil. Stricken off the record.
Haunt there from Trent would identify anybody trying to push aggressively from the defenders towards Rubble. So it just gives Icy all of that space and freedom to know that he's not being pushed. And he can focus on hitting the Furia players who are themselves going to be running away.
Here.
It's prompted a bit of aggression from Havoc again, who this time is using information that there were attackers towards Rubble, so he knows it's a little safer to go and break that turret, finding value without being punished.
Due to causing and calling actually quite a big pause into this round. As soon as they get our first kill, now starting to make their own moves with 50 seconds on the mark, but they've got different ideas about this. The spike, it's nowhere near A. They're making it feel like it's A pressure, trying to pull those rotations. The horn doesn't get broken. Mid-round information here for Furia. Now they can really afford to float Havoc back to a different direction. He's going to be looking to lock down B.
That Prowler as well, also finding nothing, and G2 know it. Great information.
This is a great call.
Great information given to Valen. Valen was too far away to really know what was going on, but Trent has provided in there probably with a great idea that they can re-hit A into 2.
Find you.
Look down here. Horns into the back had to be broken, and also just looking in completely the wrong direction. Even hearing their footsteps here. Tap, tap with the rifles. Who will win this duel out? It's Leaf. And with that being said, only 2 left standing for Furia. Looks very unlikely to end up winning this one. Still going to make a go of things, though. Furia,
One enemy remaining.
MW trapped down to the lower section. No exit strategy in his mind. He is really just stuck there.
MW got dropped down to 9 HP at the start of the round by Icy spamming. And he's going to get cleaned up last of all. This is a disastrous beginning for Furia. After taking the pistol and the follow-up, they've just now been cascaded backwards over and over. Look at all of this.
Yeah.
All of that damage done. Great mid-round calling as well from G2. But now their ult cycle's starting to come online. Icy got a showstopper up there with a couple of the post-plant kills. Leafs one away from having a lockdown to be able to use. And yeah, Furia are starting to get some of their own, but it always favors the attack side, in my opinion, these kind of setups, because you just have more freedom to pick and choose your timings.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, MW's leaning towards C, expecting this to be in that direction, and they just leave one player on the other side. Again, too exposed, a bit like we saw from Havoc. It's an eco, but...
Khalil just hoping that maybe he can just take a shot and back away there, but...
It's just the Furia are offering too many opportunities for G2 to create 3 versus 1 scenarios around the map.
There.
And it is such a standard game plan being called by Valen. I mean, you get that first advantage, either kill or what, some space, and then they just take these pauses. They wait for Furia to make the next move. See if they slip up themselves. Haunt. No connections, no tags at all. Walls down, facing many players now. Many chances. Rocket colliding straight into MW.
And there's the value of that pause in the round.
Yeah.
You bait something out of the defenders. They're on an eco. They're down a player, forced to take the initiative, and G2 punish. There's an ultimate used, but like I said, there's more coming online. Leaf's about to get his. Jonah's one away. Jonah can either hunt for this final kill, doesn't mind if he dies. They've got crazy economy. Jonah's up to 7.7k. What are you going to do with the rest?
Yeah, flush with cash.
Put it in the pension pot.
Exactly, 401k type beat. All right, he falls. Hello. Conan. Looking real nice, flexing on him a little bit, but eventually they do clean that one up. So, 4-2. Big advantage being led here by G2. On the attack side of Lotus, as a reminder, I mean, it is the favored side for them, but I mean, Furia have only been able to get together that pistol round. Yeah, follow-up.
That's it.
That's it.
From Khalil's perspective, you got to say that does look like a phenomenal peak from Icy. He just flies around the corner. This is a must-win round for Furia here, just to try to get their feet underneath them. They have big ultimates, but if they lose the round, their economy is going to spiral out of control again. They've put an enormous emphasis on winning the rubble fight.
That's 4 players. I mean, Valent heard all that noise being called. Havoc, you are so deep right now. You are definitely going to be caught if he's not careful. Has to pop the nano swarms very, very early and prematurely. Prowler locking them out of position here. It's a lockdown for a lockdown now, but they're not shying away from the fight, not whatsoever. To seize and a nade. All into the corner here, swinging round to the side. The lockdown eventually broken here in Furia. They have to back away and respect the boundaries of this. Like the scrimmage drawn. They want to fight them into their spawn. Icy. Take it out, MW.
Love that aggression from G2, pushing into Waterfall. Huge amount of utility there. The seize, the nade, the paranoia. And then they pit on top of that and push out towards the spawn so that Trent can get plant.
It's 4 players up, just seeing if they can do anything at all, but with the murky depths of the pit, lay it down onto the side. It comes down to RNG, it comes down to spam. You just got to hope and pray that you get a kill.
Oh, another save.
And you got to back away, you got to save again.
Another save on C.
And his kills.
These are devastating.
Yeah, devastating indeed.
Furia's going to get 2,900 from this in terms of their, credit for losing the round. But some of these players, you look at MW who bought up. If they're not able to save rifles, then they're not going to be in a good spot again. So Leaf, he's going to keep going, but I don't think he's got the time to deny this.
Hopping around.
And that's important that Furia got away with 2. That's just going to give him a bit of a you know, something at least to work with.
A lifeline.
But a lifeline, all they've done is one pistol and the follow-up at this point, and G2 are exploiting them all across the map.
Yeah.
Furia forced to take attack timeout to reassess what's going on. And just to cast your memory back to how that round played out, Valen gets the read that there's 3 or 4 players over towards A in the first 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Immediately calls a pivot over towards C. Havoc's movement is way off. I mean, he looks shaken in that spot. His jump peak is weird. He's caught. He's actually bullet tagged, so he gets slowed down and only just pops a nanoswarm to stop Icy jumping onto him, because that would have probably just been the first pick and the C site got given. And then it's nice play from there to capitalize on the opportunity from G2. But this is my problem with Furia. They offer too many opportunities to their opponents, and especially here. All credit for G2, they're capitalizing on them well, but most teams try to minimize the amount of, you know, weaknesses, mistakes, and opportunities that you have. And Furia at the moment, they're just a bit behind the other teams.
Yeah, and G2 are just playing a pretty standard game. I mean, it's getting to the point in Lotus with the life cycle of maps. The kind of macro, how you play the map on the attack side, it's not a solved game, but it is worked out relatively. There's a reason teams on the defensive side are leaning more to fighting over towards Mound and C. It's because when you try and opt into this rubble fight here, G2 can wait it out, put the wall up, and refire their own timings.
Well, one of the other things too is a lot of these teams are utilizing snake bites from across the map. The Desk was breaking one down from C Waterfall. There were some teams in Madrid doing one from B as well.
And again,
but you see Furia are grouping 4 players up on A, including Conan, right?
It's all in grouped up.
So that means that the Viper's not on the other side of the map to be able to do stuff. Play
with the rocket. I mean, how is he not getting a kill there?
Yeah, I mean, 1-for-1 with Conan's follow-up.
What's going on?
And Conan just sprints in. I think Conan had a rifle there as well, so looks like Nozra doesn't want to take the risk of retrieving it and
chasing his kills down. But
being generous to Furia, they've taken the time out to worry about the next round probably when rifles are back online. But not looking great here again.
It's precisely the point I was just making, you know. Defensive teams, they don't opt into that rubble fight at the beginning too much anymore because they realize it doesn't favor them. Even if you're overextended like that, just you know that they're just locked into that little cubby.
And for sure, sometimes attacking teams on their default are going to make mistakes. They're going to be tucked into the right corner instead and not have enough players with them, that kind of thing. And there are plays around the map you can make with the Showstopper. We've seen people do the Prowler Showstopper play out of B quite a lot too. But yeah, this is rough. Furia's timeout. It's got to come up with something here in the next. Otherwise, devastating amount of momentum being built. The problem, one of the problems is that they're committing into that when there's 3 players in A lobby.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of default where there's a lot of, you know, defaulting towards Mound. If you have a lot of Mound pressure, then you know there's only 1 player B, 1 player A, and maybe you can go for a play like that. So, what have they got to work with here, Furia? A pit?
Yeah, Conan does have a pit. I think he's jiggling the corner. And so, any signs of life, he might choose to use it, which he does. Okay, so he's going to lock off the C avenue. Unfortunately, it was a cross-map nanoswarm, I think, and it broke the alarm bot in the pit. So now Conan's going to have to be a bit more aggressive in that angle. Still, it does give them a bit of peace of mind here on their defense side. And it can mean that they can, you know, move a couple of more of the pieces, the players around the map over towards A and B.
Yeah, I like the fact that Furia are anticipating something towards B here. Havoc looking to play off the turret, though he's not able to defend it.
There's an 8 at his feet here. God almighty, almost going down to it. 34 health.
Yeah, just positioning himself in a rough spot. And this is getting driven into Khalil now, who has backup from Nozwa.
Does indeed. Wait, hold being held. Nozwa has a nightfall. Hello, committing.
So 2 ultimates used in this round for Furia and expended in the first minute of the round, as G2 have done a great job, actually, of prodding around the map, working out the weaknesses. They've broken all of Havoc's utility. They've forced out the Viper's Pit. They've forced out the Nightfall. Is there enough time, though, for G2 to still win?
Well, Furia are going to be locking this one down. Surely they know it's all being funneled towards this B side. G2 barreling through with brute force, though.
There's no confidence in that swing, but it's Havoc brought down weak from the nade earlier on. Doesn't want to take a risk. But in a 3v4 retake, can Khalil come up with the goods?
There's one, but it's traded. Trent's immediately there. Now we can vacuum up that space and hold this one. A post-plant position here from main. The little door angle. It's almost impossible now, really, for Furia. Conan will do his best, but that's not quite good enough in that scenario. So 7-2.
Yeah, that's disaster. 7 rounds in a row, every kind of rifle situation going the way of G2. And the ult economy in round 9, massively in favor of Furia as well. They locked off the whole of the C site with the Viper's Pit. They had a Nightfall to be able to work with. They can stack their other 4 players, 2B, 2A. They should be winning that round every day of the week.
It was the best chance they had.
But credit to G2 and their macro calling, because they were so active.
Yeah.
Force out Pit, break all the Killjoy utility, force out the Nightfall with that reclear towards A, and still have time to hit B and trade each other out. Really well done. Unfortunately, with all the cards stacked against them, yeah, G2 still winning the round. And I say unfortunately, that's from the perspective of Furia, who just have never been able to find a foothold in this game. And this is on their map pick. You heard the analyst desk. Both of these teams were expecting to play a somewhat even game because they've both been struggling.
But struggling against different opponents. Barrel it forwards again. There's that brute force on display here by G2, just using that raw aim. And of course, they have the better guns for the job. Went for the C's, no connection to the back of it. A lot of players now looking to potentially swarm out with a kill onto Leaf. Hello.
Yeah, Leaf just walked through the wall there into... The turret had gone offline, but Conan was watching it.
And for use, only the one connection. Jonah P essentially really holds on to this angle with the orb propped up. Wants to play inside of it and just repositioning, but they are collecting all of them. Conan pick up the rifle from earlier. That was Leaf that went down, but what can you really do with it? Maybe make a decent go of things. Got to do some damage, and really you need every single round at this point, so he is going to make a go, but still 8-2, G2 just in full control. I mean, how much more can we sing the praises the way that they're just playing the map?
Yeah, it's lovely. There's too many opportunities because Furia are not playing the defense well enough. But yes, in terms of capitalizing on it, yeah, great work from G2. This, though, just continues a disappointing cycle for Brazil. Every Brazilian team right now, 0-2. The region combined 2-12 in maps. Oh. Negative 85 round differential combined as of this 8-2 scoreline.
Come to Brazil.
Yeah, it's not good at the beginning of the year for the Brazilian team.
It's not great.
And that's, you know, that's discounting Kickoff, but Furia, of all of those teams, Loud, MIBR, and Furia are the one that didn't win any games in Kickoff as well, so it's even worse for them. They need to find that flicker of inspiration.
Havoc's so far forward there as well, just holding that angle, not anticipating that it could already be that close. Everything's falling to pieces in the defensive setups and protocols.
They're stuck. They've got a defensive setup there where Conan's relying on Havoc staying alive. And once Havoc dies, he's got his head on a swivel. 5v2.
Onto Heaven. MW, there's one. Satchel's back up and again up through. It's a high-low angle, but McLeod's just inside the smoke alone. We'll go for this here with the nades. Invested everything though, and I mean every action anticipated. It's just G2 fundamental tier gap being on display here between these two teams. We did come into this, series and expecting, it to be maybe close, right? Because what you said earlier, G2 have been struggling, but I got onto the point, didn't really finish it. Kind of difference in opponents. I mean, G2 struggled against 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves are a team that a lot of people do put a bit of disrespect on the name, I suppose, but they've had a hard time with things in their group. They're actually not a pushover team by any stretch of the imagination.
No, 100 Thieves have been doing all right, and I think G2 struggled in that match, but yeah, the thing is as well, you could have said the same thing about Furia. Furia played against NRG twice this year, right? And they got smoked both times, but we know the quality of player on NRG. That I think the difference is that they just got absolutely rinsed. And unfortunately, if you're a team that's already struggling to get that confidence up,
you should run.
It just hurts even more.
Conan. Time to come alive, time to be a hero here. He's overstaying the welcome and the lockdown. He's really overstaying it. And now you've got to try and pick and choose that timing to perfection here. The bullets spraying through, but I mean, the entry of G2. Didn't know what timing to take with this one, with the pit on top of it. Very familiar setup. We saw this one in a prior round. It's a flood attempt here by Havoc. He's way ahead of the rest of his team, but he wants to try and make the most of it, but he doesn't know which way to turn and twist and look here into the back. Showstopper. And Rocket sent flying, but brought down in response. There's only 2 left to stand and do this work, but it's looking like, okay, Viper's Pit dealt with. Gonna move on here. It's 2 versus 3, make it 2 versus 2. Best chance in a long while. Paranoia, blind and deafened. Chances dwindling 1v1. Noz was sticking onto half, and he lands the final shot. Consolation prize here, but he does make it 9-3 for Furia.
No charges.
Winnable?
Okay.
Switching sides.
I mean, listen, they are moving to the attack side of Lotus.
Yeah, it's just been so brutal. Good work there to still keep things together in a tough 3v3, 2v2 scenario, but that round is not how the whole half went.
Hey, listen, stranger things have happened. We'll find out in the next half, but first, let's hear from Furious Conan and get his, overall thoughts on the competition.
A G2 é um time muito bom. Tem jogadores que tem muita mira lá, jogadores muito talentosos. Eu acho que a gente já treinou bastante contra eles, a gente sabe um pouco do jeito que eles jogam. Dá pra se preparar bem contra eles. O jogador perigoso deles é o Leaf, é um jogador muito agressivo, ele tem muita mira. É um jogador que a gente tem que se preocupar um pouco, porque se ele entrar no jogo ele pode acabar carregando. É isso.
It is interesting that both of these teams have scrimmed against each other a lot, because you would expect them to be anticipating what each other are doing, and I think we are seeing that from G2. They seem to have a really good idea of the weaknesses, the areas that they can exploit when G2 are on their attack side, but I gotta say, Furia felt a little lost in some of these spots, not anticipating big ults coming towards them.
I think they're behind the meta as well, to be honest, in their defensive setups.
But if you've played against G2 in the scrim situations over and over, you should be building that level of knowledge up. Yeah. That's what's confusing. And I think, Brent, that there's probably some element of choking on stage going on with this team too. You just look at the decisions that they're making in some of these spots, and it might be the weight of expectations, it might be the fact that they feel like they're in a rut, or the fear of losing ended up becoming a reality, but it feels like this team is even underperforming compared to what you would expect of the talent on their roster, and I don't think many people had them up at the top of the league, but we were expecting more than this.
Yeah, we certainly were. I mean, that's coming from our, English-speaking Western perspective as well. Imagine a team like Furia when they've got the weight of the Brazilian community behind you. Listen, absolutely, they're not exactly soft-spoken, and that can be quite a lot to weigh on you if you are a team, even if you are sitting up at the bottom of the barrel right now in your group, looking to get that first win. But okay, I'll sell you some cope. I feel like we've been doing it the entire Super Week, Josh. We're the cope merchants. We've been dishing it out, man, on every street corner for the second half of an underperforming team. But they are moving into the attack side of Lotus. A pistol round, of course. I say this every time, but it is vitally important here for Furia.
Mate, look at the 3 Sheriff buy on the attack side pistol.
Okay.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, Wild West cosplay.
Conan, MW, and Havoc, all with the Sheriffs. That certainly smacks of desperation to me. I don't think this is what they would have been doing in their, scrims and their prep.
Yeah, leaning hard on the raw aim, perhaps. Long-range duels if they get given them. But so far, almost 30 seconds in, hasn't really been too much movement around the map here. There's Paranoid, there's a team flash.
Yeah, that's a re-clear strategy, a little similar to the one that we were breaking down in the pre-show.
Furia here orders util. Valent's the one who's got to lock down this angle now that they do have a rubble control, but a wall in his face adds in that uncertainty. It's just gnawing the back of his mind here. He has a crossfire set up to try and play off of the rest of his team. The Classic is doing far too much work in that spot. Valent's still alive, but not for long. Havoc eventually returning to fire into a 2-on-2. There has to be a 1. Shots rattling away. Trent ducking away here with the door opening wide. Starting to get a move on now towards that A site.
This is a good read from G2. They know they've both had.
And the shots are found. Spike drop down. 1v2 now for Havoc. Pressure's on him. 5 bullets in the Sheriff. Healthy targets on the other side. It's going to have to be precise. Straight to the dome. Trent jiggling. Sees it. At least evidence of it, but the trade is almost picture perfect there from Leaf. Right on the target. Doesn't let anything slip.
A little bit wonky there from G2. The re-clear towards rubble, not perfectly executed, but then Valen finds the perfect timing. Khalil has just got his paranoia out in his hands. They're not thinking about a player rubble, they're thinking about more players over towards the breakable door.
Yeah.
Just, you know, all with blinkers on, looking in one direction, allowing Valen more of an opportunity than he should have had. So G2 take the pistol, go up 10-3. And the misery looks like it's continuing for Furia.
He's showing that respect as well. He's not going to take an early fight and throw his life away, so he keeps the util up and kicking. Watching for these two players as well, but at this point, Furia not running out of options. You do essentially need a thrifty win here. You'll be able to farm up somebody's orbs, MW, but with how little of a buffer they've got in terms of the round differential, is he even going to get a chance to build up to the ult?
Yeah, they need a couple of players to just start hitting some unbelievable shots. And it's a pity because, to be honest, when Furia are picking Lotus, they're probably thinking, generally, teams feel very confident on their attack side of Lotus. And they've barely had an opportunity to play it so far.
Havoc is, I mean, he's way ahead of them, isn't he? Awareness from Trent, though.
Trying to hide.
Caught by the horn, swinging back in. Easy pickings for G2.
Players are just scrambling here. Yeah, G2, very good awareness.
It's individual around the map. Furia, they look honestly like they've given up with this map, and they're just trying to make anything happen on an individual basis they can to
thinking about Icebox, maybe.
Maybe, and you know, if we want to think about Icebox too, both of these teams play a somewhat similar style. They played a lot of the double smokes kind of stuff. We saw MW having a lot of individualistic impact on the Omen, but one of my issues, Brent, is if, and I'm speculating here, I want to be very clear, if it is an issue with choking on stage and having that, like, unable to perform under pressure stuff for Furia, then losing a map like this just, sometimes it just booms you for map 2.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how good your game plans would have been had you played it, you know, in a vacuum. It's within the mental context of the match you're playing.
So, I mean, you can't shake the feeling like you've slipped up on the, you know, your best opportunity, right? Your map pick.
Yeah, it can be very tough. Very tough.
We'll see. I mean, the amount of adjustments you can really make if you are Furia, it's got to be mentality at this point. We haven't even seen enough of the one side to really make any calls.
We literally haven't seen any attack side here, and they've taken a timeout.
Yeah.
So they haven't really learned anything. This timeout, the only thing it can possibly be to address is stuff like communication, mentality, reminding them of their game plan, trying to get them more focused. That kind of thing. It's nothing strategic. It literally couldn't be.
Show me some firepower in Furia. Make it a little bit more competitive.
This is the round where you would expect them to show it. But they're coming in here with only one Prowler, no C's, no Boombot. Like,
utility being optional, apparently.
There's that one Prowler.
Used and broken for him. Actually, it's a bait and switch. Icy's going to get back up onto the line. It is Paranoia forwards and flying. MW loses his fight out nade. Up and over the top, and a nice smoke as well to just provide that extra bit of cover.
And they can both play inside of it too. These are the layers that a lot of the top teams have, where we saw a similar kind of mound fight from Furia. It was just Havoc on his own.
Supportive util, not Trent. He was a little bit wide there, but
this push out through C. I mean, Havoc's going to get caught in the back here. Unless he's aware of it. He does seem to know there's a threat.
Oh, he's losing it. And these kills, I mean, this is the round they really should be converting. They're up against the bonus of G2. They don't have the guns to be making this work, yet still find themselves in that driving seat. Looks like a B pivot. They don't have B main control.
The B, you don't own B main. You don't own Heaven.
And they're all going to be collected surely here. They don't know which way to look, man. Stuck with not a clue and not a chance.
It's a killing field. I mean, that is just...
Match point.
It's painful to watch,
yeah,
Brent.
It is.
If you're a G2 fan, you're loving this. It feels like a free win. But for everybody else who's either turning up hoping for good competition or Furia to rebound, it just... It hurts.
Painful.
One enemy remaining.
I'm sure if Furia watch, well, for starters, I'm not sure they even will want to watch this one back. But if they do go into the VOD review and watch it back, they'll be bitterly disappointed at what they're doing in some of these rounds. doesn't look solid.
Well, opting now for that fast B play. It's a team flash, team blinds. Yep, I mean, Paranoia just clicking right onto them. G2 happy to play these crossfire setups. Conan might be able to do something about it over this Guardian. In his hands are the Prowler. That is disrespect being shown. G2 choosing to take that timing and fight through Heaven. Conan, you are low. Low enough, though. They do some work here. Leaf's just tapping like he's almost got a guard in his hands, but he doesn't. He has a rifle, and now they're making a move over towards the A site.
Now, surely they don't allow Leaf
to
just get the perfect timing on behind them. Surely they're not.
Surely not. Surely not! I'm going to give him every opportunity to try and clutch this one up, and the spike didn't even go down.
They gave him perfect information by just running away. And Havoc was thinking about holding their backs for a moment, and it looked like somebody counter-called him and just said, no, come with.
Oh, boy. Tap. Havoc looking the wrong way. That is almost a clean sweep. 13-3. Doesn't really get much more perfect than that one for the start of this series of G2. All smiles on their faces. They know that was just absolutely clinical.
We have seen some of the most one-sided maps in the whole of Americas this week.
Yeah.
It's been bonkers.
Something's going on.
Yeah, something's
going on, man. There really is.
But this one, an utter dismantling. And listen, I do want to give credit to G2. They had some good ideas. They came into it. Leaf played that clutch beautifully. But there are just way too many opportunities for them to win rounds compared to what you would expect at this kind of level. It's going to be a tough task for Furia to pick themselves back up on map 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's bananas, back rubs, and water, I think, passed around.
It's all mental, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah, that's what I mean.
They literally didn't even play enough of the attack side to have, like, strategic...
Gotta get that confidence back. They really do, some way, in one way or form. Well, we're going to be stepping away. GB in the Analyst desk, breaking it all down for map number 1.
That's it. We're just...
Name of it.
Remaining.
Excuse me, would you mind taking a picture of us?
Oh, no problem.
Thanks.
Ooh, yes, problem. You need Verizon. Trade in that old thing and get a new iPhone 15 Pro with tons of storage, so you can take all the pics. So many selfies.
A preposterous amount of panos!
That means panoramic.
And as many portraits of me as your heart desires.
How about none?
None, yeah, none feels right.
Trade in any iPhone in any condition and get iPhone 15 Pro on us. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.